Everyone, thanks for coming to tonight's event, which is co-hosted by Trinity Hall Femfo, represented by Lily, and they're opening again, and by Trinity Hall Politics.
Right next to me we have Halla, who is political advisor, co-leader of group Violence Against Women and Girls, and founding member of the Women's Equality Party. I'm sure you'll be talking about that definitely, hopefully. Next is Nimco, who is part of the Daughters of Eve campaign, FGM activist and speaker, and lots of other things as well. And then Kate on the end, journalist, academic and writer who's appeared on Question Time, etc. Says Carl.
In the mid-70s, the women's movement starts gaining momentum in Iceland as elsewhere. And 24th of October 1975, which was the year that the UN dedicated to women, Icelandic women went on strike or took the day off. So they refused to perform any work, whether it was domestic labor or outside the home. And it was approximately 90% of Icelandic women who participated in this. So, and there was like a huge outdoor gathering where women demanded equal rights. In the wake of this, Iceland elected its first, and actually the world's first democratically elected female president. And then women got together and continued discussing how can we move this into the political arena? What do we have to do to see change happen? Here's one of my favorite stories was when the mayor of Reykjavik, who later became Iceland's prime minister, he attended a beauty contest to crown the winner in an official capacity, of course. That's what a mayor does. And he was quoted saying, if only the women of the Women's Alliance were as elegant, as beautiful as those beauty queens, I would forget being re-elected. And then he laughed, and everyone laughed. You know, it was like early feminists in the city council. But he didn't laugh at the next city council meeting when the members of the Women's Alliance had dressed up. So they were wearing like evening dresses, and they made like tin foil crowns and banners, not as like Miss Reykjavik or Miss Iceland, but as Miss Obedient, Miss Persuadable. And then they had like in the audience plenty of them as well. And he did not find that funny. And lastly, I believe in women's equality parties because I don't think we can wait forever. I would like to see a more gender-balanced world, and I won't live to see it if things continue changing at the pace they're doing now.
So basically, I started a campaign called Daughters of Eve to ultimately talk about the issue of FGM about 5 years ago. And with Halla, I'm also a member of the Women's Equality Party, and I do ultimately believe that the person is political, and there's nothing more personal to me but my gender. So I was subjected to FGM when I was 7 years old, and one of the things as I said to Carl, I wanted to talk about was the power of the language we use and how that kind of segregates women and kind of carries on the disadvantages and the discrimination of women within a society. So there's two words that kind of have always really stuck out to me, the word culture when we explain violence against women and girls, and this concept of honour. I had FGM when I was 7, and I came back to the UK, and ultimately one of the kind of most formative experiences was when I came back and my teacher said to me, when I tried to explain this act, she said, that's what happens to girls like you. And that was something which I thought, what does that actually mean? It was something that happened because people did it through a culture and the narrative, not the fact that it was violence against women and girls. And I found that really interesting, and I thought, what does culture mean? It's not something that happens over there. It's the same reason why FGM happens here in the UK, but we define it as labiaplasty. But that's not culture, because that's empowerment. And I remember when I first sat across from a home office minister, I think it was really difficult to try to, so this is what I think, this is why we need more women in political positions, is in order to get a man to understand, first you have to explain what the act is, so they have to understand it, then they have to care, then they have to prioritize it, and then they have to act. So my kind of greatest success has been trying to work with women to say, it doesn't matter where you're from, as long as you're a woman, the same form of violence that we kind of are subjected to, it's because of our gender. And ultimately it's about bridging those gaps, and I'm here today to be open to as many conversations or questions as you have.
Thank you very much.
Unlike both the other women on the panel, I'm not a campaigner, and I don't think I have that skill set. I'm not good at going out and making change. What I'm very good at is sitting back and telling you what's wrong with the world, whether that's theatre or feminism or politics. There's been a big conversation about safe spaces and trigger warnings and all those sort of things that get thrown around by journalists, me included. I am more sceptical of the idea that feminism is a movement that can be co-opted into a particular political party or into a particular organisation. I'm a libertarian feminist. One of the reasons I write about culture, though, is that I think that what matters most is culture making change, and I want to be part of that progressive change. I don't think it comes best from central government. What impresses me about the Women's Equality Party is precisely the fact that it is building links between women who come from all kinds of different political backgrounds and focusing on that issue of representation.
It's really interesting that when the clitoris was first discovered, it was around the time of the witch hunts. So it was this whole kind of devilish hood that was found within the woman. So it's those kind of, if we know our history, then we can actually ultimately see where the oppression comes from. But ultimately, I think we are becoming, I don't think that you can ever have every single person and every single issue represented on a panel, but it's about having the space and the respect to even to challenge those things. And I think the conversation around white feminism, I find that really problematic because it's a lot of great women that are being silenced and can't say things.
What do you think is the best answer to give people who criticise support of, say, Hillary Clinton by suggesting that those who back her are only doing so because she's a woman? And similarly, do you foresee another female, maybe perhaps a more, well, I'm not going to use the word suitable, but they haven't. Do you foresee another female Prime Minister in the near future? And what would you say to those who criticise the support of Hillary Clinton?
I would like Hillary Clinton to win, because otherwise I don't think I'm going to see a woman president in my lifetime. It's that difficult. The only thing actually, as a feminist, that worries me about Hillary, as a symbol, is that she got there by being First Lady, which is such a gendered and problematic institution, and the way in which the United States creates a role for somebody who's always been a woman, who does things like organise the flowers and does sweet little things with charity and, bakes. And Samantha Cameron's been doing a lot of that kind of thing. Obviously, she is twice as brilliant as her husband and could have been running the White House in the 90s, but she had to do it by playing the political spouse, and I'm always going to find it depressing if that's the way the first female president rose to office.
So I think ultimately we will have a female Prime Minister, but there's a lot kind of stuck up against them, and I think we need to kind of be a little bit closer to them.
I wanted to ask Halla actually what you were talking about in terms of who's the most electable, and where you see the Women's Equality Party. Do you want to is the aim to win, or is the aim to sort of get people to know about it? It's sort of another way of activism, but you're doing it sort of in the political realm. And I also wanted to ask about who's your target market? Do you want lots of men to vote Women's Equality Party?
I think definitely men should vote for the Women's Equality Party, because equality is better for all of us. And I think many of them will. And I mean, the women's movement has always depended on the support of men and men allies. I mean, we wouldn't have got the right to vote if it wasn't for male allies.
He for she, some of my problems with it is, Emma Watson, don't call it feminism because men will be scared type of thing.
Yeah. Well, people are always scared of everything that changes. And if you think men are scared of the word feminism now, go 5 years, 10 years, 15 years. You don't have to go that far back to see a society that was terrified of the word feminist. Campaigns like He for She, I aggressively don't find them interesting. But they're still there, and change doesn't happen with one single strategy where we all move forward. It's a messy process.
It's just I don't think it's true that women that call for safe spaces can't tackle offensive opinions, can't deal with people that disagree with us. So it's not trying to silence those opinions or saying that this university isn't a place for those opinions to be expressed. For me, it's just saying, can we have this one corner, this one tiny place, this one forum on Facebook, say, or this one group that meet once a month, just this one place that isn't like the rest of Cambridge?
I've certainly leant on the side of being worried about the loss of diverse and dangerous opinions on university campuses, but I hope without that kind of sense of aggression and lack of empathy that is so often sensed by people. So I absolutely understand that university is a time where you're facing other people's prejudices for often the first time, and that has a real degrading physical effect, because I've had that myself. But I would just stress again that learning about it was probably the best thing that ever happened to me. And I know that sounds deeply patronizing, but the world out there is even worse.
What's happening is that a lot of people are kind of interchangeably using safe spaces and non-platforming.
Yeah.
I support safe spaces, I don't support non-platforming, because I do think that you do need some like ridiculous people to kind of challenge those, have those kind of conversations. But ultimately, I do support the safe space in terms of like, you know, having that at that corner, but to ban, like, you know, to ban Jermaine Greer from coming to Cardiff University. I've sat on a platform with Jermaine Greer. She tried to explain my vagina to me, and I'm like, no, you don't. We had that discussion. It was because we could have that discussion that things changed in those kind of conversations. Yeah. But ultimately, there could have been somebody in that room that needed to go off somewhere else afterwards and have a safe space where she could talk to another person that's been through that issue or whatever it was. Jermaine Greer could have gone to a pub and had that shitty conversation with somebody else.
So he got invited to come speak by by the Science Society in college, by the two women presidents of Nazi Society, and talk on his research here. And at first I was told that I wasn't, as women's officer here, and Femfo president, I wasn't allowed to go and challenge him and question in the Q&A, because that would be derailing a conversation on science to one about militant feminism. And I was like, okay, yeah. So I was like, okay, so I completely understand, he's coming here to talk about science. I'm not coming in I think if it's a talk on something else, they wouldn't assume that I'd do that. But because I'm a feminist, I'm gonna come in with the banners and placards and topless and chain myself to Tim Hunt or something. He was actually invited to speak to the Cambridge Science Society 2 weeks ago, and he spoke on some lectures, the science site, and that was sort of fine, science, whatever. But it's you're speaking here, in our home, so people feel came to me feeling
but this is really important, and I think this is something I wanted to ask you about, what counts as a safe space. And I can entirely understand the physical distinction between having someone come into that place that is your home and, for example, tell you you're going to hell if you have an abortion.
So I think it is this whole thing about not setting any boundaries. And I think that's a really interesting thing about gender, and we are in this kind of new space where it's we have these gender fluidities and all these other kind of conversations, but it's about how do we empower children, and that's my key thing. It's not like boys and girls, how do we empower children in order to be individuals, but yet at the same time work as a collective. And I think that's going to be a challenging thing in how we live our lives and how we kind of interact with other people.
And our gender is such a significant part of it, and our race and our class, that we have to learn about it. And otherwise we're never going to open up any spaces, and we're never going to go into any spaces, because we're just going to be in our own social group and be comfortable there.